What's going on, everybody, and welcome back. This is Rodrigo Afanador with another episode of Asheville Real Estate News. Really excited about what we're diving into today. We're talking about home inspections. Today we're particularly focusing on home inspections from a buyer's perspective. So you're out looking at a house, you're going to buy a house, you get a home inspection report. I know the first time I saw one, it was a little overwhelming. There's pages and pages and pages of information detailing everything about your house, the ins and outs, and it takes a little while to sort through it and understand what all that information means. And hopefully today, after today's episode, you're going to walk away with and have a little bit of guidelines on how to digest that information, how to jump through what you should do and what you shouldn't worry about, etc. So without further ado, I am joined by Bill Downey with Downey Home Inspections.
Hi there.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Glad to be here. Love the podcast. And I'm excited to talk about home inspections.
Yeah, thank you. First off, I do want to say is I do love your Instagram handle. Do you mind sharing with everybody?
Sure. You can find me on Instagram, inspector_Downey. And I'm still kind of new to the platform, but I try to post on there.
And what would be the best summary you could give, 10,
Sure.
30 seconds about what a home inspection actually is?
Well, your home inspector is working for you. It's a third-party representative who's looking out for your best interest and at the same time protecting themselves in this home inspection. They're not a realtor. They're not the seller. This person is going to be looking at unbiasedly all the components of your home to ensure that you are buying what may be the biggest purchase of your life. And making sure that it is in a safe, safe condition for you. With the home inspection, there's in every single house, there's always odds and ends, just tiny little tweaks here and there that are odd. Every once in a while, you might find some odd condition that truly is a safety hazard. But overall, your home inspector will be there to guide you through the process, make a nice summary of what's good, what's bad, and what you should be aware of going forward when you purchase this home.
So to make this report and come up with this information, you basically go through the house with fine tooth comb, right? And just look at every detail?
Just about. There's some things we can't do. It's a non-invasive, non-intrusive, non-exhaustive home inspection. So we're not going to be punching holes through the walls. Visual inspection of everything that we can see and that we should be looking for to make sure that the house is safe. There's a million components in every house that we all kind of take for granted, that we're not aware of, that we just, oh great, we got cool air, oh we got warm air, everything's flushing okay. But your home inspector will be coming in there and making sure that it's doing it truly properly.
The way it's supposed to.
There's the next degree of making sure if everything's vented properly and just the things that we take for granted.
That seems like there's a lot of knowledge that you have to bring to the table to be able to assess that and know what to look for and how to look for it. How'd you get into home inspections and what's your story leading up to this, to what you're doing now?
Sure. Well, I've been working in real estate pretty much all my life, whether it's managing it, selling it. I'm also a licensed broker. More recently, the past 8 or 9 years, I've been working in New York, where I managed a portfolio of high-rise co-ops and condos in Manhattan. And there I oversaw the functioning, condition, replacement and repairs of 10,000-gallon water tanks and boilers that are over 100 years old, and facade repairs and everything that goes into these massive buildings and all these bizarre codes of Manhattan. So with all that experience and working with all these engineers and architects and alterations and homeowners who are just trying to maintain their co-ops and condos in the city, me and my girlfriend moved here to Asheville, where we both started our own businesses and now I'm on my own doing home inspections, and that's pretty much where we're at.
Yeah, well, welcome to town on
Thank
that
you.
note. And how long have you been here in Nashville now?
Just since October.
And was there a specific thing that you're like, Asheville's the place, we're going, and how was that thought process to get here?
Well, we did a lot of research. We knew we couldn't stay in New York forever, and we wanted it to get back into kind of the artsy scene, the more music-oriented and just kind of liberal culture. And we did a lot of research. We love the outdoors, and we took a little vacation here, and we just knew, okay, this has it all. We're pretty happy here. This will be it.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, once again, welcome. So let's dive back into the home inspections a little bit specifically. As a buyer, let's say I just got my home inspection report. What's the best way to like read it?
Well, at least with my practice, I've seen other inspectors do it other ways where they just send it PDF after we do a home inspection, and I talk them through the entire inspection the entire time. I say, hey, do you have 10 minutes for us just to go over everything right now? And with that, we'll take a seat and we'll have a nice little summary chat of, okay, here's what you shouldn't be worried about, tiny little things that are normal, and here's a couple things that you should really be considering budgeting for. These are things that may need replacement soon that you should have your eye on. That's usually how it goes with my home inspections. Other people probably similar or differently slightly.
What if you don't have the benefit of having like a hands-on conversation? Was there any like part of the inspection report that you would specifically focus on as a buyer, or like?
I guess, what do you mean exactly?
So, like, I know like, you got the different columns, right?
Sure.
It's like, I forget what they're titled, but would you like, how do you decide, okay, here is the better way to phrase the question. How would you decide what's something that needs to be budgeted for versus something that needs to be fixed before you buy the home, and something that's just kind of part of the house? Like some older houses are just going to have.
Yeah, it would probably be in the details of each of the sections, but I would certainly re-emphasize it in the summary pages, which is where a lot of buyers kind of tend to spend the most of their time. Okay, let's go to the summary. You should study the whole report. I know it's like 40 pages sometimes, but the summary page in the bottom, at least in my inspection reports, will list out, this is what you should be aware of, this is okay, this is what you should budget for. That's usually how it goes for me. Also, more than happy to accept phone calls if you have any questions. Most inspectors are the same way. We're very approachable.
Fair enough. What is, have you ever had a moment that you're going through a house and you're just like, oh my goodness, I'm just not seeing this, or have you had that moment yet?
Oh gosh, there was an inspection we did, me and my apprentice, we looked high and low and just could not find the shutoff valve for this one house, and it's like, that's a pretty important part for any home. And we couldn't find it, the buyers couldn't find it, the realtors didn't know about it. We asked the seller, they didn't know anything about it. They had to ask their father, and their father finally said, oh yeah, it's behind a wall. It was like they somehow did some construction, and the shutoff valve for the whole house was just tucked away, unreachable. So there'll be odds and ends like that, and unfortunately we're not gonna be punching holes to find them sometimes, so we gotta do a little investigating.
We had a similar situation like that, except with the electrical panel in a house that we're closing on next week.
Oh really?
It was like behind drywall essentially.
Gosh.
Yeah, so like to get to it, you're gonna have to like unscrew like part of the paneling, put it like, it was just like, why would you make this so inaccessible?
Bizarre.
And it was like tucked away in the bathroom, so it's not like it was even convenient to, it was just a whole like bizarre situation. But yeah, it was interesting.
That's the nature of the home inspection beast and buying in general. It's just, there's always going to be some odd builder, some odd code, or some inexperienced person, contractor, who's doing something a little odd. And so that's when the home inspector is a great person to have when you're thinking about buying something, because we'll help determine what's weird.
Yeah, well, let me ask you this. Sometimes as a seller, and you go through this, and anybody who's sold a home, you hear about this inspection report and you're like, my goodness, why are you like blowing my house out of the water? Like, I know it's not as bad as you just made it out to be. What's the balance that you have between being like, hey, like these are things you should be aware of, and like there's a lot of that, and it's a house, right? Any house is always going to need some degree of work, unless it's a new build. And then versus like, hey, it's just, you need to address this. And what's like,
Well, it's all about safety. For most home inspectors, including myself, it's just, okay, we treat every home inspection when we're going into it like, would it be okay if there was a small child here? Would I feel comfortable if this was my own home? And we always put that in the report, but at the same time, as you say, there is that balance. We don't want to have kind of an alarmist mentality of just freaking out over a small typical crack in your, the floor of your garage. I get calls often about, can you come check out this? Is this a structural thing? I don't know what this is. And more often than not, it is just typical cracks, everything just settling and everything's okay. It's always a fine line of, as I understand the seller's concern, especially if you're thinking about putting your house on the market, you want to get an inspection done to stay ahead of the buyer's inspection, for example. It's always, what I'm trying to say is the home inspector is looking out for you at the end of the day.
And how much of that might be putting you on the hot seat here, so be ready for how much of that is just like a CYA for yourself, right? Where you're just like, you don't have any like liability issues, 2, 3, 5 years down the road or whatnot.
That is certainly a part of the home inspector's fear and balance. I do want to protect myself. I want to follow the North Carolina standards of practice, as well as the American Homeowners Institute and international practices of what I should be looking at, what is necessary for the home, and all the components involved with it. It's definitely a huge factor when making these reports, but at the end of the day, making sure that this home is safe, that it's articulated in that report. So
that makes sense.
It's a fine balance.
Okay, well, got a couple questions here. We'll go burn through these really quickly. Is as a buyer, when I get a home inspection report, I should expect of that.
Roofs you replace them maybe every 20 years or so, and it's not a common thing that happens, but it is necessary in any home. So it would be in it's common in reports to see, hey, this is a marginal condition roof. I would expect for you to budget this. Other things such as typical cracking you might find in the walls, vapor barriers, which are easier thing. Most of the things that you might find in a home inspection report, you can run down to Lowe's and buy it very inexpensively and take care of.
Is there anything that is an uncommon but important thing to budget for or plan for?
Nothing's too uncommon, I guess.
Like a roof's common. Would, I don't know, thinking about replacing like any of your ductwork or something like that. I don't know. That's a perfect example. That would be kind of uncommon. Or doing a full piping overhaul. We're going to rip open all the walls and replace the pipe. So I'll give you an example.
I would never tell someone you shouldn't buy a house. I would never say that.
Okay, fair enough. But you would say, because you do not want to recommend them. So what would be some things that you would definitely want to draw attention to that would be like, hey, I would really make sure you feel comfortable with this before you move forward. Would that be a fair way to put it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
One perfect example, I feel like a lot of people aren't very confident with the electrical systems of their house. They really like it when you take apart the panel of your service panel and check out the wires in there because they don't know what they're looking at. They need someone who's got experience to take a look at and confirm this place is going to catch on fire. And that's one of the main issues that I would often address right away more seriously in these reports. There's plenty of serious things, but whenever there's an electrical issue or a service panel that's falling off the wall, I once had an inspection where the service panel was not even mounted to the wall. It was leaning off the conduit like this, and there was a broom propped up against the floor holding it up in this bizarre way. And so when it comes down to it, it's all about the safety. And any safety hazard that we come across, especially electrical issues or in general, are noteworthy will be in your report and will be articulated by myself or an inspector.
Gotcha. All right. Well, any final closing thoughts on home inspections in general that we might not have touched at, or a question that somebody should ask their inspector that we haven't discussed yet?
Closing thoughts, maybe. Always get one. You know, it's still kind of a young industry in a lot of ways. Back in the 70s, maybe 3 out of 10 people got a home inspection. Now it's very, very common to have a home inspection. When you're buying, I'd say 9 out of 10 people are doing it. And it really is valuable, and an invaluable service that will save you tons of headache, put you at ease in this massive purchase by having this qualified individual come in and take a look and assess and report on this home for you. Invaluable service, definitely recommend it.
Cool, awesome. All right, guys, there you have it. Do not be afraid of the home inspection report. Take it as an opportunity to understand what you're buying, what the variables are, and as you heard it yourselves, it's not necessarily that everything or the world is falling apart when you get one back. It's just things that you should be aware of, plan for, budget for, etc. So don't forget, follow him at inspector_Downey on Instagram.
That's it.
Follow us, Asheville Real Estate News, everywhere you can find us. And do us a huge favor. Please leave us a review, subscribe on iTunes. It would mean the world to us. And one other note, July 2nd, I believe, it's the first Monday of July. We hope to see you at our Asheville Real Estate News meetup. It's a great time for networking. I don't know if you'll be there again, but sometimes you'll have the opportunity to talk to an inspector or a real estate agent and just, ask a couple of questions here and there in a very informal setting. So appreciate you all tuning in and hope to see you guys here next week. Take care.